Chapter 6, The Last Supper. Hey, have you seen my phone? Audrey asks, trying to keep the desperation out of her voice as she runs her fingers through her still damp hair, now in the full prairie dress getup, as it was the only option. McKinley's response is chipper. Did you check your room? Yeah, it's not there, Audrey replies, frustration seeping into her tone. And my water bottle's missing, so I can't take my UTI meds. She holds the plastic package and slips it back into her skirt pocket. Maybe you dropped it when you were hiking? McKinley suggests, her vacant eyes fixed on a point just over Audrey's shoulder. No, I called an Uber home, so I had it when I came back. I can help you look for it after dinner. And here, McKinley pours her a glass of water. I'm not drinking that, Audrey says. I think there's something in the water. You shouldn't drink it either. Listen. She stares her friend straight in the eyes. Something is going on here. The crunch of gravel announces a new arrival. Matthew's pickup truck pulls into the driveway, looking like it's seen better days, much like Matthew himself. Why is he here? Audrey asks, unable to hide her annoyance. McKinley's eyes glaze over as she recites. I know you say you're happy with Patrick in the city, but Stephen thinks it would be a good idea for you to chat with Matthew. He's a lovely man with 50 acres of beautiful farmland. He specializes in American Wagyu. There's a huge market for it. We even sell his meat in our subscription butcher box. McKinley, you know this is not me. I like corporate life. Audrey starts to protest. McKinley interrupts. Said no one ever. She giggles in a shrill, over-exaggerated tone. She retains her composure and looks deeply into her friend's eyes. I know the old you doesn't want to be with that guy, but... She pauses as if buffering. You came here unhappy with your relationship. Come on, just humor us. It's just dinner. Audrey, feeling trapped, reluctantly agrees. All right, you're right. It's just dinner. The wood table is now covered in an impeccable spread. Freshly churned butter, potato gratin, sourdough bread, a massive seared pork roast, homemade jams and jellies, and a pizza that looks more like a salad, considering the amount of arugula and vegetables on it. They all sit together, Matthew, Stephen, Deborah, and the kids. You know, I always say women are a stronger breed, Matthew says, chewing his mouth like a cow mid-cud. When I saw McKinley and how hard she works for this family, I was like, I need to get me one of those. Audrey is over this place. She's not an appliance or an asset you can own. She's a full human being with thoughts and... Stephen interrupts, his voice smooth but with an edge of control. I think what he's trying to say is he appreciates how hard McKinley works for this family. He reaches over and squeezes McKinley's hand. Her face remains impassive, almost doll-like. I wouldn't be the strong man I am today if it weren't for this woman. And we wouldn't be able to provide for our family and bring so much joy to other families if it weren't for how hard she works. She is an amazing woman. I definitely agree with that, Audrey says, her unease growing. But it feels like she just works here, you know? Like she's part of this... Don't say that, McKinley interjects robotically. Her lip quivers as her eyes start to water. I love it. I don't mean it as an insult, Audrey backpedals, feeling increasingly trapped. I'm sorry, it's just... Deborah chimes in, her voice saccharine. If you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And McKinley here loves her family. She would do anything for them. I can see that, Audrey says, her voice tinged with concern. I'm just wondering what she does for herself. McKinley's response comes out in an eerily cheerful yet monotone voice. Oh, I love this life. I get to cook all my favorite dishes. I mean, tonight I got to make... She shakes lightly as if about to burst. Pizza! And that's what makes me happy. Serving. Her eyes remain glazed, peering off into the distance, her smile fixed. Audrey's skin crawls. She looks around the table, noticing the satisfied smiles on the children's faces, Stephen, Matthew, and Deborah. And yet, the words, the perky tone, the forced emotions, the vacant stare, McKinley's body language doesn't match the words. Audrey's gut is screaming that something's wrong, but the image before her seems perfect. Oh, McKinley tilts her head, putting her finger in the air. I forgot dessert! Rushing over to the fridge, she pulls out a pie. For an instant, the pie is tilted towards Audrey. She sees the word baked into the upper crust. Help. But before she can process this, McKinley's ankle gives out. She falls to the ground, smashing the porcelain pie container in half, a shard slicing McKinley's forearm open. Blood starts to gush out. Oh my, Audrey says, rushing to help her friend. That's enough, Stephen stands suddenly, slamming his fist on the table. Filled with rage, you can see his heart beating. Everyone goes silent. Stephen, Deborah says sharply, not in front of the children. They lock eyes. I'm so sorry, Stephen says, his tone suddenly contrite. It has been a long day. He dabs at his mouth with his napkin. The picture of composure once more. Oh, it's all right. Just a little flesh wound. McKinley still smiles as if she hasn't noticed the injury at all. Audrey grabs the kitchen towel off the oven and presses it against her friend's cut to soak up the blood. She looks her friend in the eyes as tears pour down McKinley's face. I'm fine, McKinley insists, her arm shaking. Still smiling, her eyes betray her. Can't you see she's exhausted? Audrey screams, frantically trying to stop the bleeding. Stephen walks over to his wife, helping her up. Hey there, little lady. I see you had a little trip. Let's get you upstairs. You had a busy day. You guys are working her to death, Audrey yells, her composure finally breaking. Don't be dramatic, Deborah coos. She tripped. It happens. There, let's get you upstairs to rest, Stephen says, helping his wife up the stairs. She has been so excited to have you come visit, that's all. I'll take care of her, and you stay here and get to know Matthew. Have some water, Deborah says, shoving a glass in Audrey's hand. This is not okay, Audrey explodes. Not in front of the children. Deborah loses her temper and shrieks. Then she takes a deep breath and calmly says, Sit down. Stephen is taking care of McKinley. I'm going to start getting the kids ready for bed. Now you talk to Matthew. Audrey looks at Matthew, his eyes lit up in excitement. She sits down across from him, feeling trapped in a nightmare she can't wake from. Come on, kids, let's head to bed, Deborah says. The children follow her upstairs, leaving Audrey with Matthew in a growing dread. She feels the walls closing in. His eyes gleam with an unsettling excitement. With your rising sun and my rising moon, we could take over the world, he exclaims. I mean, talk about a power couple. They tried to set me up with your friend Jessica before you, but she's a Virgo, and they murder people. Audrey's mind races. With Stephen, McKinley, the kids, and Deborah gone, she sees her chance. She stands abruptly. I know, that creep took my phone. She starts opening and closing drawers, her frantic search filling the room. I mean, they've done real studies and shown an irregular number of serial killers are Virgos. Matthew drones on, oblivious to Audrey's reaction. A drawer creaks loudly as Audrey opens it. Is that so? Tell me more, she says, hoping Matthew's chatter will cover the sound of her search. She opens the cabinet under the sink. Rodney Alcalca, he was on a dating show in the 70s, and he said he killed 50 to 100 women. Matthew continues, his voice a monotonous backdrop to Audrey's increasingly desperate search. He didn't say that on the show, of course, but when they caught him later. Matthew giggles to himself. Sorry, it's not funny. That's strange, Audrey mutters, more to herself than Matthew. I mean, murder is definitely strange, Matthew agrees, misunderstanding her comment. Sure, Audrey says distractedly. Boston Strangler? A Virgo, Matthew adds. Audrey grabs a glass from the cupboard, rips open the plastic of her UTI pill pack, and shoves it in her mouth, washing it down with bottled water. The happy face killer? A Virgo, he says, seemingly unaware of Audrey's discovery. She moves to the foyer, her movements growing more frantic. The serpent? Also a Virgo, he continues his list. As she reaches into the pocket of one of the jackets hanging on a peg, her fingers close around a set of keys. Her heart leaps. Ted Bundy? Well, he's not a Virgo. He's a Sagittarius, but his rising sign is a Virgo. Is that so? Audrey says, barely listening as she palms the keys. Oh yeah, this girl I follow online did a whole list of them. Audrey turns back to Matthew, forcing a smile. You know so much about astrology. Audrey decides to play along. Thank you, Matthew says. There's not much to do out here, which is why I got into them stars. He pauses, looking her up and down. You are real nice. Stephen told me he'd find me the perfect wife. Audrey sees her opening. Did he? Matthew, I have a favor to ask you. She asks, her mind working quickly. Anything for my future ball and chain, he replies eagerly. I need to go outside for a moment. If you see Stephen or Deborah come down, tell them I'm out for a smoke. Matthew's eyes widen in shock. You smoke? His voice rises in pitch, distress evident on his face. Aries aren't supposed to be likely to smoke, although they are a fire sign. I don't know how to break this to you, but sometimes the stars lie, Audrey coos. Before Matthew can respond, she's out the front door, closing it quietly behind her. Once outside, Audrey makes a beeline for the barn. Her heart pounds as she mutters. Controlling, creepy, won't let his wife talk husband. Each step across the field feels like it's bringing her closer to answers, or danger. Reaching the barn, she fumbles with the keys, finding the one that fits the lock. As she swings the door open, she whispers fiercely, Screw this place, screw these values, screw these influencers. Jessica, we're leaving. The words die in her throat as she takes in the scene before her. What she sees inside the barn causes her to freeze in shock. A row of women sits along a conveyor belt in the center of the barn's open floor plan. Their movements are mechanical as they grab fruit from the belt behind them and juice it into a long trough in front. Audrey realizes with growing horror that this must be where they make their nationally renowned juice. At the sides of the barn stand tall, silver canisters, where the juice is mixed with water before being bottled for nationwide distribution. But it's not the industrial setup that chills Audrey to her core. It's the women themselves. Still clad in their prairie dresses, women wear vacant smiles as they work. They chat and gossip as if at a quaint social gathering, but their eyes are devoid of life. Most disturbing of all, beside each woman stands a tall IV bag filled with clear liquid connected directly to their arms. Audrey! Jessica's voice rings out, unnaturally cheerful. So great to see you today! Sitting at the front of the row. Like the other women, she has an IV drip plugged into her arm. Beside her is the frazzled-haired girl we saw Deborah haul away the first evening. Hi, Audrey! Hi, Audrey! The chorus of mechanical greetings sends a shiver down Audrey's spine as all the women turn to her in unison. It's so good to see you today! They chirp, their smiles wide, but their eyes dead. Audrey approaches Jessica, her gaze fixed on the IV drip. What is this? She asks, her voice barely over a whisper. Part of the treatment is the natural healing water of the well, Jessica explains brightly. As she shifts, Audrey notices the bruises on her arm from repeated IV insertions. With trembling hands, Audrey reaches for the needle. I am going to take this out now, she says, her voice steadier than she feels. She pulls out the needle, and Jessica doesn't even flinch. You should really try it sometime, Jessica continues, unperturbed. The water is so refreshing. You gotta stay hydrated. You gotta stay hydrated. The other women chime in, their voices in eerie chorus. It's so good for the skin, Jessica adds. So good for the skin, the women echo. Audrey stumbles back, overwhelmed by the horrifying scene. But then she goes and starts pulling all of the IVs out of the women's arms. With Audrey distracted, a shadow falls over her. Before she can turn, a sharp pain explodes at the back of her head. Audrey crumbles to the ground, her vision blurring. She sees Deborah standing over her, a shovel in hand. Oh, Audrey, Deborah's voice sounds distant and distorted. You really shouldn't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. The last thing Audrey sees before darkness claims her is the row of smiling, vacant-eyed women, still dutifully juicing fruit as if nothing has happened. Then, everything goes black. Perfect Modern Wife is available on Audible, or check back next week for the next chapter. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to let me know and subscribe online. I'm at Kristen Van Nest on all social channels. Thank you!